Hey, what's up, mortals? Alex here. And today, as you can see by the title of the video, I will be bringing you a discussion, and hopefully this can turn into a series. It's something that I've been wanting to do for a long time now, and as you can see, it's on World Chalice. Probably my new favorite deck. I've been toying around with it for about a few months since it came out in the TCG. Funny story is that when my friends told me about the deck, like forever ago, I think we were still in the zoo format, they asked me, what do you think about World Chalice? I didn't say anything. I just said it's another gimmicky link deck that won't really do anything. So I didn't really care. But then the day before the sneak peek for Code of the Duelist, my friend asked me to help him make a World Chalice deck. So I said I don't know anything about the deck, so yeah, no. But he asked me again. So I decided to read the cards, and as I was reading the cards, I was like, this deck doesn't seem so good. They have a Searcher, it's pretty good. They have the World Chalice, which is a rabbit. But then when I read Ningirsu, that's when everything changed. This card has everything that I like in a card. It's high powered, like attack boost, attack stats, like 2500. It's actually pretty respectable. Its effect to draw cards was what sealed it for me. Drawing cards equal to the number of World Chalice monsters they point to. It's actually really good, and it can like draw you into a lot of combo pieces that helps you continue your plays. But the last effect was the sending effect. The sending one card from other player's turn was actually really huge as well. So this card literally has everything that I asked for in a card. Very fair, but very good at the same time. So as you can see, the deck, it's laid out here. Spells, traps, and monsters. So what this, what I want to accomplish is get the deck out there, like let people know about it, have them learn about it, just because I see a lot of people misplaying with the deck, and that's just unacceptable. This is a deck that is very unforgiving. One little misplay that you do and it's done. Like it's over. You probably will lose. So playing the deck successfully can get you far, and even like I said, I want to do a series, so I will be teaching people how to play, and I'll be teaching people how to counter the deck. Just because there's a lot of... the deck doesn't struggle against many things except for back row. The deck can play through hand traps fairly well, except for Ghost Ogre, which I'll explain that much later. But the back row, it's very tough for the deck to like clear, since if they have like strikes... Remember that when I mean back row, I mean solemn strikes and warnings. People don't play any of the other trap cards. If the game was like it was a few years ago, where we have to play like Breakthrough Scale and Phoenix Chains, then the deck would be just fine. But playing through strikes is just impossible, since there's absolutely nothing you can do at times. What you can do is like basically bait them out with other cards, but that requires your hand to be really good anyways. So anyways, I will be explaining the cards. Let's start from zero. This is a series for everybody, from the new player, for someone that plays a deck. That will give you like more, I guess, more experienced combos and plays that you can do. But at the same time, I want to explain everything for newer players, people that want to pick up the deck. So the deck has 6 main deck monsters as of right now. Hopefully we get more later. The deck has 3 normal monsters and 3 effect monsters in the main deck. A lot of people might be turned off because the deck has to play normal monsters. And yes, you have to play. You don't have to play all 9 of them, but you can play any ratio of them. A lot of people play 2 to 3 Chosen, and some people play 2 to 3 Beckons. And my favorite normal monster in the deck is Beckon, mainly because he's an 1800 attacker. The times that attack barrier matters so much, just because a lot of the normal summonable monsters in the game are 1800, so he will be able to clash with those. So again, going back to the normals, a lot of players do not play Crown just because of her attack. Her level, again, levels do not matter in this deck. Everything's about linking. It's a first link centric deck, so levels don't matter. But her attack stats, it's atrocious. It doesn't do anything. That's the main reason why I didn't play any from the beginning. I just did not touch her at all, because I don't want to like dead draw her. I mean, she's not a dead draw because one normal monster, it means like more plays. But at times you can't special summon, you can't link away because you already use a lot of your resources, or you just need to attack for game. like with a 1,000 attack monster. And if you draw her, and you already have your Link Spotter in the graveyard, and your opponent's at 900 or more, you won't be able to attack for game, because if you make Imduk, which requires a normal monster, only has 800 attack. So that's why I decided not to play her at all. The second vanilla is Chosen. Chosen's one of the vanillas that has more synergy in the deck. That's why I'm playing 3 of this and none of the others for right now. I'll explain that. I'll explain why later. But Chosen being a psychic type in level 3 is huge. Because I do play Emergency Teleporter in my deck as a starter or extender. So I believe that Chosen, as of right now, is the best normal monster to play. World Chalice monster is to play in the main deck. Then we have Beckon, like I said, my favorite. Level 4, it helps with rank 4s. I used to play Abyss Dweller in my deck, and that goes to Emerald, but we don't have that option or that luxury anymore. So I decided to drop him completely. Also, I will be going over the engines in a little bit, and if there's an engine that requires you to play more normal monsters, which if you want to play more normal monsters, you can go ahead and do that. Now, let's go with Gar's Dragon. He is one of the better ones, and as most people say, he's the cute one. Like, you'd be surprised the amount of times that I hear that from people when I'm playing the deck. They're like, oh, the card's so cute. Like, everybody, not even like Yu-Gi-Oh players say it's funny. Anyways, he works with normal monsters, and he works with Link monsters. While he's on the field and in the hand, when your opponent activates a card that targets a linked monster, not a Link monster, a linked monster, something that's pointing to something else, like Ib is pointing to Imduk, or if Ib was in the field and Ib was pointing to one of these guys, and your opponent targets one of the monsters, because remember, Ib cannot be targeted, but I will go their effects later. So if your opponent activates anything that would target a linked monster, you can send it from the field and hand to the graveyard to negate and destroy that card, which is huge. This is a card that most people just play the one of because they just want to use it as a combo piece, that's how the card is meant to be. But at the same time, I don't understand why people don't play the second copy. Mainly because the hand trap effect is really relevant. A lot of my friends, they play against this deck a lot, so they know how to play around it. But against other people that don't understand that this card is a hand trap, or its own field effect as well, like a real trap or protection. So a lot of times I would summon one and have it on the field, and because they see standard list online playing the one, they don't really expect the second one, and I have the second one in my hand to like catch them off guard. Like when I was playing against Zodiacs, I would do that, or like I know I'm protected Spiral Steeper, I would just like save it for that. It's really clutch. I feel that playing 2 is correct. Any less, it's just not very good. For the last 2 main deck monsters, Lee, the World Chalice Fairy. Lee is, as most people say, the Stratos of the deck. It just searches once per turn. It can search itself, which is pretty good. And being a level 2 light fairy, it's very, very crucial. Lee is one of the best cards in the deck, and you need to have access to it ASAP. It has a graveyard effect. You can send any monster from your hand or field to the graveyard and add it back to your hand. Really, really strong. You gotta play 3 of this. And for the last card, in my opinion, the best card in the main deck, World Legacy World Chalice. This card is very interesting. It has 3 effects, which is, for 2017 Yu-Gi-Oh cards, it's very fair in my opinion. Some people just acknowledge the fact that on field, if it's been tributed or normal summon and leaves the field, you can summon 2 guys from the deck. Remember, it leaves the field. Doesn't have to go anywhere, but as long as it leaves the field, it will trigger. It summons 2 guys from the deck, 2 World Chalice monsters, which all of those up there, and this right here. Anyways, it has another 2 effects that if it's in the graveyard, except for the turn that it was sent there, you can banish it and add a World Legacy card. So as of right now, we have, for the World Chalice, it's World Legacy, by the way. We'll get to that much later. But as of right now, World Legacy cards you can search in the deck are Landmark, which is a double monster reborn, World Legacy's Heart, which is a salvage, and a field spell that if one of your guys dies, you can special summon another one from the graveyard, which is pretty cool. I have toyed around with all of these before. Anyways, and the third effect is that while it's on the field, and if your opponent would summon monsters from the extra deck, you can tribute it and send those cards to the graveyard. So if your opponent Pendulum summons 5 guys, you can tribute it and send them to the graveyard. Of course, they will not be sent to the graveyard. They will be sent to the extra deck. But it's like a solemn warning in like a type of way. Yes, they're not destroyed, but it gives you the extra turn that you needed to like counter their plays and like go for a game. So let's see, for the main deck monsters, the spells again, field spell, the one's pretty good. I wouldn't recommend playing it in a competitive scene right now. Same with Landmark, it's really powerful but not worth it right now because this card requires you to banish a World Legacy monster, and the only one we play is Chalice, and we don't want to be doing that. We want to be summoning Chalice. So none of this, none of the field spell, and World Legacy is hard. It's a one-off in my list, but I would understand if you play 2, just because it's that good. So that's it. Now for the extra deck monsters, the bread and butter. A lot of the plays, a lot of your pushes will come from these guys. You have Guard Dragon, or just Chalice Dragon, I guess. Imduk, the World Chalice Dragon. It's Guard Dragon's evolved form. By the way, this is based on an RPG sort of game. It has a lore that I would highly recommend you guys looking into. It's really, really good, and one of the reasons why I like the deck so much. Anyways, we have Imduk. Imduk lets you you need a normal monster to summon him first, and it can grant you an additional summon for a World Chalice monster. So if you have any normal monster and the World Chalice, and you have more World Chalice monsters in hand, you can like start your combo off, which you require normal summon a normal monster, special summon Imduk. Imduk's effect, tribute it for the World Legacy World Chalice because it gives you an additional summon. Then when all the World Chalice Link monsters share the same effect, when they're sent from the field to the graveyard, they let you special summon a World Chalice monster from your hand. So we have a lot of targets, as you know. So that's his main purpose. But he has another key effect that, look at his arrow. He points up, which is really awkward a lot of the times. So he states that if he battles a monster, if he's battling a monster that he's pointing to with his arrow, he will destroy it automatically at the start of the damage step. Basically, he becomes Catastor, so he's really strong for that. A lot of the times, you can give your opponent a Kaiju and point into a zone where he would be summoned and attack over the Kaiju. So he gets over any monster in theory. We have Ib, the World Chalice Priestess. She's pretty cool. She protects your boards. While she's linked, she can be targeted or destroyed, and if one of your guys would be destroyed, you can send her instead. Then you have the biggest combo piece in the deck, Aurum. Aurum is probably one of the reasons why the deck is so good. He has 2 very key effects. One that gains 300 attack for every World Legacy card monster. I'm sorry. So as of right now, we have 2. We have this and another one that's in the newer set, but we don't play that. So that effect doesn't come in handy just yet. But the second effect is you can tribute any World Chalice monster he points to. Pointing's right here. And you can special summon any monster in the graveyard, which is huge. You can get back anything in your graveyard, which is really, really good. Biggest combo piece, and this is one of the cards that a lot of people need to learn how to play against because he is the main card in the extra deck. Then, as I stated earlier, Ningirsu, my favorite card in the deck. This card is just nuts. It's really, really strong. Once per turn, when it's summoned, you draw cards equal to the number of World Chalice monster he points to. A lot of the times will be 3, but there are some times where you have to settle for 1 or 2 and hope to for those cards to get you further into place. But he's really strong. For the numbers, I would highly recommend playing 3, 2, 2 to 1, 2 to 1, 2 to 1. In my current list, I play 3, 2, 2, 1. I feel that that's correct. So I went over all the main deck stuff that you can play. Now let's go to engines. These are cards that people play in their decks to help them speed up the process to get to your like bigger like link plays, the firewalls or the Borlo dragons, the Trigates, or even Ningirsu. So these are cards that you have to play in a deck to like make it playable, in my opinion. Just because playing the normal monsters and like these cards won't get you anywhere, because I've tried, trust me. So for the engines, before we had 3 Gofus, but now we just have the 1. There's no reason not to play the 1. It becomes really sacky when you draw it, but the 1 makes it that you don't have to worry about drawing more. Just the 1 Gofu generates so much advantage. It can play through a lot of back rows. So just the 1. Exodius, the Forbidden Lore. This is a card that you can play from 1 to 3. In my opinion, 2 is perfect, but I understand why people would play 3 of this card. It's nuts. Every time you have it, it's just like really strong. It can reset all your graveyard everything in your graveyard goes back in the deck, and he becomes a body for you to link with. And remember that he gains 1,000 attack for every normal monster in the deck, and we play a lot of normal monsters in the deck, so he will get gigantic just for that. And he has another very key effect that when he attacks, he sends any monster from your deck to the graveyard, which can put Lee in the graveyard if you need it to, or it can put Guard Dragon there if you need to like advance your game state even further. So you play 2 of those, 2 to 3 of these. Right now I'm testing with 3. Like I said, 2 is perfect, but 3 seems like to be working out. In my opinion, the best engine for the deck, it's Venus and Shine Balls. Venus is just a normal summon that gets you 3 other monsters, so it's 4 monsters in a normal summon. Yes, it needs 1,500 of your life points, but that doesn't matter since you're just gonna like probably game your opponent that turn. So I believe that playing Venus is the only way to play the deck right now. Any other way, actually, let me rephrase that. If you're trying to be competitive, you have to play Venus and Shine Ball. Otherwise, just don't play this deck competitively. The Brilliant Fusion and Lazuli, it's single-handedly the best non-monster engine in the deck. We have Venus as an engine and the best card in the deck, which Brilliant Fusion can get you to those 2. You would be summoning Gemini Seraphonite because it grants you an additional summon, but the key thing about that is that it sends a light monster as well. So if you have a Lazuli in your hand, you can send a Venus to grab it back with Aurum, or if you are missing Lee, you can just send it to the graveyard, send in some random dead card. If you have like an extra Gemini Lazuli in your hand, you can pitch that to fetch Lee, to summon, to get World Chalice and start your plays like that. So I feel that Brilliant Fusion is just too strong. There's no reason not to play unless you don't have access to that, which I understand. It's a little pricey right now, but I would recommend playing those. And for the last engine, the Rescue Rabbit engine. This is an engine that I like a lot just because it's Rabbit. It's a pretty good card. A normal summon that gets you 2 monsters is pretty strong still, but a lot of the times you don't want to be normal summoning this card. You'd rather normal summon Venus or anything. Well, actually, Venus is the only card that I want to be normal summoning, honestly. Lee can trigger a special summon as well, so I'd rather like not normal summon it. Because remember, if you're playing competitively, and this is mainly towards a competitive mindset that I'm making these videos, you need to resolve Chalice ASAP. Your first, second, and third turn, you need to be resolving Chalice if you want to stay competitive. So normal summoning this and getting it Ghost Ash, which will happen, and that's the main reason why I'm not playing this, it hurts. So I feel that Venus is the only card that you want to be normal summoning in the deck, just because it plays through a lot of the hand traps. Ash, please. Maxi, okay, you can still go for game. You're probably going to have an Ash of your own, so you're going to stop that. So Rescue Rabbit's a card that I like, but I'm not playing it currently. You can play 3, it's at 3, and you play more normal monsters up here, but I don't think it's necessary. Again, I'll go through the engines again. GoFood, you kind of have to play Exodius. You have to. I've seen a lot of lists that don't. I think that's a mistake. Venus, best engine in the deck. Brilliant Fusion. If you want to stay competitive, you need to play this engine in the deck. If you don't have it, trade for it. Ask around. Try to get your hands on these. Like 1 Brilliant Fusion, it's good. Like 1 is better than none, right? But you need to play 3, in my opinion. It can be any Gemini as well. I'm doing Lazuli because there are ways to abuse Lazuli. When she's sent to the graveyard card effect, you add a normal monster back to from the graveyard to the hand, which is really strong. So you have the rabbit, and as of right now, that's it for the main deck stuff. I just went over what their effects are and the engines, and now I will get into the reason why you might want to pick up the deck. You might be wondering, Alex, why should I play this deck? Why can't I play Spirals instead? Spiral deck seems better. In theory, it is. The Spiral deck is better. Some people call this, the World Chalice deck, a bootleg Spiral deck, but it's quite the opposite, actually. The Spiral deck, it's a bootleg version of the World Chalice deck, mainly because this was the first Link-centric deck. and the Spiral came after. Anyways, ignoring that, the reason why you want to play this deck is because it gives you options. Remember that options in the game are very, very good. If you don't want to be limited by your cards. If you're limited to a normal summon per turn, that's not very strong. You won't do fairly well. But this deck gives you a ton of options, a ton of ways to summon a monster. Just put like piece after piece. Your opponent won't have enough resources to like answer all the problems that are like you're like putting in the board. Like imagining like having all these cards just like being thrown into the board. Your opponent will be overwhelmed and not know what to do, and that's another reasons why I do so well with the deck. I have a lot of success with it because a lot of people don't know how to play it. And this is a deck that, to me, it's very, very strong because of that options. If you want options, play this deck. This is not a deck for someone that just likes to sit, like summon a monster and sit in back row. This is a very, very aggressive combo heavy deck. It's just not for anybody, and it sucks to say that. But if you want to become better at combo decks, at aggressive decks, at things that will make you think, I will highly recommend picking up the deck. At first you will struggle, but once you get the hang of it, you will be doing much better and probably winning locals, because yes, you can win locals and do fairly well at regionals with it. It's a very, very strong deck. That's one of the reasons why I recommend picking it up. The other reason is because it's fairly cheap as well. All of these cards are, aside from Brilliant Fusion, is very cheap. If you want an easy, fun, extremely fun alternative to like the meta decks, this is it. Everything is common. That's a common. That's a common. These are commons. You can get these for fairly cheap. Rabbits are commons. The extra deck monsters are a joke. They're cents each except for Ningirsu, which is like $6. But that's another reason why you should pick up the deck. Again, I just went over the main core of the deck, the reason why you should pick it up. Next time I will be talking about other support cards that you can play in the deck. Hopefully I will be doing that rather soon, so people have videos to watch over the holidays. So as you can see, the video has been dragged for a long time now, and I hope you guys liked it. If you guys have any questions, please comment down below, and I will answer as soon as possible. And as always, thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more videos, and I'll see you guys later. Alex out. Peace.